Matteo did take one step ahead there and mention Alvaro Morata. That has to have come as a bit of a surprise, even for most Juve fans, to see him back there. Nicky, what have you made of this move?
I'm in love with this deal, honestly. Like, I love it from all sorts of different angles. The sort of two players that we were expecting again. It's all about defied expectations with Juventus, isn't it? We were expecting Luis Suarez, and there's been a whole saga there about cheating on language tests to try and get his Italian citizenship. He's obviously not coming. Then it was Edin Dzeko. He's not coming. But Morata is totally different to either of them. In terms of what he gives you on the pitch, I agree with Matteo. I don't think he's going to be an every game option. There's a big question mark about how specifically he might interact with Ronaldo, because they didn't get on the best together when they were in Madrid. Although, of course, it wasn't just Ronaldo that he was trying to play alongside. He was trying to break into the BBC at its height. And I think that's worth thinking about. But he is a very vertical player. He's very much, there's a word that has come up a lot talking about Pirlo's Juventus in his thesis, profondità, which you could literally translate as profundity, but I actually struggle to put it into English sometimes, this concept. What it really means is that ability to get in behind. And he gives you that. But I love it much more still on a personal level, because Alvaro Morata is a Real Madrid youth player who feels to me like he's a Juventus youth player. He honestly does. He was only there for 2 years, but in those 2 years, he was, you go back and look at his interviews. He talks about how I came here as a boy, I left here as a man. He met his wife while he was there. He was as happy as he's been anywhere in his entire career there. And I think one of the things that I really sort of came straight into my head with this transfer, and which might, don't want to, if I say this or not, because it's not still talking to the editor about it, but there might be a piece from me coming up about Morata's move actually on the website this week. This thing that he spoke about specifically in interviews at Juventus was how he felt like he was made part of the group right away. And he said, again, specifically, it wasn't like this in Madrid. When I came to Juventus, I could go and I could sit and I could eat with the senior players. I could sit with Buffon and I could sit with Pirlo. He names Pirlo in these old interviews. I've gone back and looked at it. And I think that rapport, that feeling that he has with the club is really important. Of course, he's at a completely different place in his career as he was then. But I think it matters. And I think that this was the place that got the best out of him. And that relationship with Pirlo, who, by the way, himself this weekend was saying, I think it's really important there's mutual exchange between manager and players. Like, I think that players should always feel they should talk to me and it's a two-way conversation. I love it. I really think if Morata was going to, at this odd point in his career, because he's 27 now, he didn't have the best season at Atletico. You sort of think this should be the point where he's giving his very, very best. I think it's the perfect place for him. And he doesn't have to start every game. I really don't think he will, to be a contributor in this team that wants to play vertical football, that wants to use his profondità, his pace in exploiting those spaces. I love it. I'm really excited to see how it works out.
So, and his wife is Italian as well. So maybe there is that personal angle, which makes sense for his whole family.
She's super happy on her Instagram account.
Yes.
You can see. Yeah.
we did the hashtag analysis.
Yes.
I'm not as in love as with the move as Nicky is. I still think that Edin Dzeko would have been a better fit for Juventus's front line, just because of everything that he.
For no one.
100%, but there's a reason why Dzeko was more of the A choice. Yes, a short-term solution, but when you have Cristiano Ronaldo, he's also a short-term solution. He's not going to be at Juventus for much longer, and you need to win now. And I think Dzeko gives you the best opportunity to do just that. I could see Dzeko taking up more of that Karim Benzema role where he holds up play well. His touch is so underrated. And you know, all these people that make fun of Dzeko for all the missed chances, it is true. He does miss a lot of chances, but he does so much else off the ball, on the ball, when he's outside the box, holding a play, inviting those runs from the wide areas to help out Ronaldo, to feed him in space, to give him that little through ball. I think Dzeko does so much for the team that maybe is a little bit underappreciated. And I think right now, if you want to win now, Dzeko, I would take him slightly over Alvaro Morata. Morata is more of a long-term solution, and he has different characteristics. But for Ronaldo, who you're trying to make happy, who you obviously need to get the best out of, give me Edin Dzeko.
So my question on that is not that I don't love Edin Dzeko, because I actually totally agree with some of the things you said about people criticizing his goal-scoring record. I think he's an incredibly, I think even still at this point in his career, somehow, I think he's been underrated in European football for how good he has been. Having said that, another key sort of plank of Pirlo's idea we press all over the pitch. Now you're already giving up Ronaldo in that. Ronaldo is not pressing all over the pitch for you. Can you really afford Pirlo? Can you really afford Ronaldo and Dzeko together in the starting 11? You're going to lose a lot of pressing, I think, with those two.
My only question on Alvaro Morata, and maybe it is that it's a better fit for him than anywhere else that we've seen at Juventus, so anyone could argue that, is that in Spain, there's a term that you've got milk in the veins if you're a little bit soft. And I know that he's been accused of being that. Is it anything that you've seen in him that suggests that, Nicky?
Well, I mean, you could take the things that I said as positive about him and turn them around. You could say, what sort of player needs to be in the perfect environment where he feels like he has all these people who are willing to help him out? He should have been at Madrid and he should have been strong enough to take control of it. And look, last season at Atletico, it was kind of his job to lose and he lost it. Diego Costa kind of took his job. I think you can absolutely pick lots of holes in Morata. He's not, and he's never has been and is not going to be a 20-goal-a-season striker, in my opinion. That's not what he's going to give you. But I think he meshes with the vision of what Pirlo is trying to do, is why I like it. And I think he's going to fit right into a team that's got a really sort of positive vibe about it right now that matters, because I think that the positivity was lost last season.
Yeah, and Morata with Juventus, he wasn't, as you said, in every game scorer. He was more of someone who would come in a lot of times off the bench. He started, I think, only half the games in the season, but he played a lot of important Champions League games. And I remember he scored in the semifinal. He scored a lot of big goals in big games for Juve. So I think the memory for Juventus fans is a very positive one with Alvaro Morata. They did not want him to leave. Obviously, Real Madrid, they put these sneaky little clauses in where they can buy him back after 2, after 3 years. And that's exactly what they did. But with all the transfers thrown around for Morata, of how expensive a player he's been, he still hasn't shown himself to be a clinical finisher consistently, someone who can get you more goals than 10 to 12 a season.
But you have Ronaldo. You have
exactly.
Ronaldo.
But that's a great point. That's a great point. And also Paulo Dybala, who has to start centrally, as we saw last season. That's where Dybala is at his best. So I still think that my best trident, even with Dzeko or Morata, is Dybala, Ronaldo, and Kulusevski. I don't know necessarily if in this look that we're seeing from Pirlo, you really need that striker. And I think Ronaldo, as he's getting on in age, yes, he's better with a striker alongside him, but when he gets central and with his ability to sort of levitate at the apex of his jump, and he's so good in the air, you can get by.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.